We've finally reached March 1st, which is the official start of meteorological spring, although it still feels like winter around here in my Zone 7A garden. Today, the temperature is in the low 20s with 20-mile-an-hour winds, and the ground is quite frozen, so I really can't get out there and do anything. Oh, hi Gizmo. So today I'm going to be working on some projects that I prepared for last fall. I dried some absolutely beautiful hydrangea and I'm going to make some things with them today. So that'll keep me busy for a day. I also have been doing some garden planning. I ordered some beautiful brunnera, which I'm really looking forward to coming in. And I've been thinking about the hellebores that I would like to add to the garden this year. So I've got some plans. At the same time, I have some things that I'm going to have to spend time on that I wish I wouldn't have to. There have been plants that over the years have gotten really annoying. They've become very invasive, very aggressive, and I know that this year I'm going to have to spend more time and energy getting rid of those plants than enjoying them. I did take videos of those things over the season, and I thought that today I'd share them with you because I'm sure that you are also planning for your garden for this year. And it's good to be reminded not just of the things that work well in the garden, but some of the things that you might want to think twice about. So that's why I'm calling this segment Garden Thugs, or Plants You Should Think Twice About Planting. I hope you enjoy it. This is a plant that I have been trying to get rid of for years now. It's called Tradescantia, or spiderwort, and I have it in this pink color as well as blue, and it is one of the most invasive things I think I've ever planted. And now that I know more about it, I regret having put it in. Here is the blue version. This is a small spiderwort, and you can see what the roots look like. I've dug out hundreds of these over the last couple of years. They've just infested the areas where they were originally planted. And this root travels, and new plants come up from the root as it's traveling along. It's just out of control. There's some more Tradescantia popping up, and this is an area where I had made a concerted effort to dig it out over the years. A couple of years ago I thought I had actually gotten rid of all of it, and here we have more popping out. But you can see what a crazy root this thing has. And the problem is that you pull it out, and if you leave some of this root behind, even a small piece, the plant ends up regenerating. So I had lots of Tradescantia coming up right in the middle of this Siberian iris. But at the very least, what I can do is I can clip off or snap off the seed heads before they have a chance to seed. Nothing I can do about the roots at this point, but they do tend to come up earlier than the iris do in the spring. So if I can catch them then I can dig them up. So I save old potting soil bags for this purpose, so that when I have plants like this that I don't want to put in the compost pile, I can bag them up and throw them in the trash. This is another plant that I wish I never planted, and that is Lily of the Valley. It's another one that just spreads and spreads and spreads. And if you have an area like this one right here that is bounded by the walkway, and having it as a ground cover is not such a bad thing. However, it has reseeded itself all over the place. Another plant that I wish I never planted is this Persicaria. This is one called Painter's Palette. And while it has a beautiful variegated foliage, it just takes over. It is so invasive. And it loves the shade. So this was a shady space, and I suppose For that reason, I can leave it here. However, it is reseeding itself around other places on the property, and you can only have so much Persicaria. And an example of what the Persicaria does, here's one that just decided to reseed itself here. And you can see it does have these sort of interesting looking red flowers. But they reseed themselves all over the place. And my oh my, here is more Persicaria. And this is tucked in along the wall on my lower patio. And this has got to be 300, 400 feet away from the original ones, where the original ones were planted. They just go everywhere. Another garden thug is Creeping Jenny. And I planted a little bit on the side of this stairway a number of years ago, thinking it would look cute, sort of coming down the side like a little waterfall, but it has taken over, as you can see. And the problem is it does not stop things like grass or weeds from growing up among it. So I have to come out here periodically and pull all of these other things out of here, which is really, to me, not the purpose of a good ground cover. The fern that is in the foreground here is another plant that I consider a bit of a garden thug. It is hay-scented fern. And although it's beautiful, it really takes over, and it gets so tall that if you have any smaller plants in there, it dwarfs them and takes the sunlight. Now, we have chocolate snake root in here, as well as some hydrangeas. You know, they're probably big enough that the hay-scented fern is not taking over. But I did have some Ligularia in here, and it's just disappeared. So I'm going to have to find a way to get rid of this. Another plant that I'm kind of, I hate to say, but that I consider a garden thug is Spirea. Now, there are new varieties of Spirea out that are not rampant reseeders, that are considered sterile. But some of these old varieties, they reseed everywhere, and it can be a problem. Now, this is a huge area of Spirea right here. This was one plant that was planted. It's now 3. There's another Spirea at the top of the wall here. Actually, there's 2 up there. I never planted those. Those reseeded there. And then on this side, I planted 1. And if you notice at the top of the wall, there are maybe 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, these are plants that reseeded themselves here. So although I let these go, you know, I'll admit it, I didn't have something else to plant at the top of the wall at the time, and I let it go. But I really wish that they weren't there right now, because now I'm thinking I need to take them out. And here's another area of the garden. This is an area I don't think I've really shown you before, but here are more Spirea that I didn't plant. And this is an area along what we call the woods walk. And you can see tucked in underneath this white pine, more Spirea. Volunteers all. Now, I've been kind of bad-mouthing Spirea, but as I mentioned, there are some varieties that have been bred to be sterile or very nearly so. And these 2 are in that group. These are Proven Winners Double Play Doozy. And they're pretty much done for the season at this point, but we still have a couple of flowers popping out on these. They're a lovely, lovely color. It's a nice dark, dark pinky red. But I was very interested in putting these in and see how they did because of the fact that they aren't going to be those crazy reseeders. And they've done very, very well. So I'm thinking that I will invest in a few more of these to replace the ones I'm going to take out. Another plant that I hate to call a garden thug, but I am going to include it on this list anyway, is Rudbeckia, the beautiful black-eyed Susan. The reason that I have it on this list is because I learned from experience that if I leave these seed heads on here for the winter, come spring, I will have hundreds of Rudbeckia seedlings coming up all over the garden, all over the lawn. And I've realized just over the years that this is one that, as much as I like to leave the seeds for the critters over the winter for the birds, I have to cut it back. So Rudbeckia is one of those things that can absolutely take over a garden space. And this is a nice patch of it. It's probably, I want to say it's maybe about 4 feet by 4 feet, to maybe a little more than that. And I'm going to leave that one. However, it has reseeded itself in many places where I don't really want it. So as you can see, there's another chunk of it in here. And that is a beautiful spot that could be used for some other type of perennial. And as much as I like Rudbeckia, I love it in the fall for cut flower arrangements. Wonderful plant for that purpose. I really don't feel like being a Rudbeckia farmer, so I am going to get rid of a lot of it. And I have 2 other patches in the garden, again, where there was a small amount of it, and it just has run rampant over the years. So sadly, goodbye Rudbeckia. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you again next time on Gardening Genes. Have a wonderful day.